Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Steven Brown, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the Toronto Maple Leafs' lines because they announced today that Joe Thornton is going to be missing 4 weeks with a fractured rib. Auston Matthews isn't playing tonight. What are their lines going to look like, and what does it mean for their roster situation? And we have some pretty good indications on what their lineup is going to be looking like tonight because of this tweet from Kristen Shilton saying that Keefe says Pierre Engvall, Alexander Barabanov, and Adam Brooks will slot in tonight for the Leafs. No hints on how the lines will shake out, though, other than to say that William Nylander will not be playing center. And that's something that I discussed in a video a long time ago when talking about things that I didn't like that Mike Babcock did. He would play William Nylander at the center position when the Maple Leafs would have no other options, and I guess he didn't have another option, but he wouldn't play well, and then people would harp on him for it. It's not ideal. If you want William Nylander to be able to play center when you don't have another option, you're gonna have to give him regular reps there throughout the regular season. So if Sheldon Keefe is not using William Nylander at the center position when the Maple Leafs are in a situation like this, we better not see it come playoff time. Now, they don't expect Auston Matthews to miss many games. They just said that it was upper body soreness, so he might just miss tonight's game against Edmonton. There's no indication or feeler out right now, at least, that he's going to miss more than just this one game, so I wouldn't worry about this lineup too much moving forward. And the Maple Leafs have officially placed Nick Robertson on LTIR, and that's an important note when we're going over the lineups that we will in a minute. Well, with Joe Thornton being out for the next 4 weeks, I would expect the Maple Leafs to run a lineup similarly to this when Auston Matthews is back and healthy. And remember, we talked about it in the season preview video. The Toronto Maple Leafs' plans for Zach Hyman all of last season was to take him out of their top 6 and play him on a line like he has been the first 5 games this year. I know some of you really like Zach Hyman in the top 6 playing with a guy like Auston Matthews or even John Tavares, but the fact of the matter is that the Toronto Maple Leafs want to use him in an exclusive defensive shutdown role. And you're seeing from these zone starts here, Zach Hyman has been tasked with basically exclusively being a defensive shutdown player for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but yet is still controlling the vast majority of the shot attempts when he is on the ice. Somehow being put in an exclusive defensive shutdown role, Zach Hyman is still finding ways to be an absolute monster 5 games into the regular season. You might say that Zach Hyman, when he's playing with Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner, gives them more space to play because he's always the one forechecking and digging pucks out of the corner. But the truth of the matter is that when the Maple Leafs are able to run a lineup similarly to this, Zach Hyman is taking all the shifts away that would be spent playing defense away from Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner and allowing them to play more shifts in the offensive zone. So he doesn't have to be on the same line as them to create more offensive opportunities for them. The Maple Leafs tried to move Zach Hyman out of the top 6 all of last season, but they were unable to because of players underperforming or players constantly being injured. And you're seeing it again now that Nick Robertson and Joe Thornton are injured. They're forced to put Zach Hyman back into that role. But with Auston Matthews out of the lineup tonight, there's another player that I want to talk about, and you guys are probably sick of hearing about him, but that's Pierre Engvall. It really is now or never for this player. If this couple of game stint that he gets with the team because of injuries doesn't go well, I really don't know what the Maple Leafs are going to do with this player. Last season, he had 14 points in 28 games played, but the following 20 or 21 games that he played, he only had 1 goal, and that was against David Ayres. He was one of the Maple Leafs' better players defensively last season, but it is not acceptable for a guy making the amount of money that he is to put up 1 goal in 20 games. I mean, Sheldon Keefe called him out after he scored a goal in a scrimmage. In an otherwise meaningless game, this guy got called out by a coach for scoring. If he plays a couple of games now because of the situation that has presented itself with the injuries, this guy needs to play well. He desperately needs to play well. If I'm Pierre Engvall, I'm going up to his line mates before the game being like, look, man, if you guys can just feed me the puck, I desperately need a goal in this game. I'll make it worth your while. And the reason why I care so much is because this player has potential. 14 points in 28 games. 28 games isn't a large sample size, but it's also not a small sample size either. That is a 40-point player in this sample. You know what? I'm hearing a lot of people that are either okay with Jimmy VC or they're not impressed with him at all so far to start this year. Pierre Engvall, do you know how valuable he would be if he can come in here and score at a 30 or 35 point pace? Alright, I would consider putting him with John Tavares and William Nylander if that would be the case, because this guy is someone who can skate very well and is good defensively. This guy is insanely good on the penalty kill if you're looking at scoring chances against per 60 last season on the penalty kill, minimum of 50 minutes played. That's a little bit of a mouthful, but in terms of regular penalty killers, Pierre Engvall was very, very effective in that role. Even in terms of just limiting shot attempts when you're shorthanded, Pierre Engvall was still in the top 10. This is a valuable player with a lot of potential that is in the doghouse right now, because it's just unacceptable. 1 goal in 20 games, and it's against an emergency backup goalie. I was listening to the most recent edition of the Steve Dangle podcast, and Steve kept going on about who is going to be the Maple Leafs' surprise this year. Every team that goes anywhere or does anything has a couple of surprises. They have luck bounce their way. They have good luck when it comes to injuries, but also when they have them, they have players who can step up and fill that role. Auston Matthews is not in the lineup tonight. We don't expect that to be a long-term thing. Like I've already said, they've just mentioned it being tonight's game and not any games moving forward so far. But can we get a goal from William Nylander? Can we get a good game from Mitch Marner? Can we get a good game from the captain and have a couple of bounces go his way? Can we get a goal from someone outside of the top 6? Jimmy VC, Adam Brooks, Wayne Simmons, his first goal of the year. These were all things that the guys mentioned on the SDP podcast. Can we get a defenseman maybe to pitch in on the offense? You know, Morgan Riley, can he maybe pinch in and score a goal? This is a guy who did have 19 or 20 goals a couple of seasons ago. Can we get a big performance from Frederik Andersen? I mean, the last 2 games that he's played against the Edmonton Oilers and the Winnipeg Jets, the team didn't play so well offensively in front of him, but they did tighten up defensively, and Frederik Andersen was a lot better. It would go a long way in the confidence that I have in this team for the long term if Frederik Andersen can string together more than just 2 good games in a row. Over the course of Auston Matthews' career, the Maple Leafs do have a winning record when he is not in the lineup. They have been able to band together and make up the difference. They obviously are better off with him in the lineup than they are without him. That's not what I'm trying to say at all, but all I'm saying is that the Maple Leafs have stepped up without him in the lineup before. Can they do it again tonight against the Edmonton Oilers and moving forward if this persists? Because if we're looking at the numbers from MoneyPuck.com, the first time that these teams met, it was a relatively even game, and the Edmonton Oilers, they got a couple of lucky bounces on the first goal. I know the Leafs got one back with the Auston Matthews goal. There was some unfavorable penalty luck. It was a hockey game. It was a close game. I didn't think they played bad. I didn't think that they played good. They looked a little bit tired in this game, and so did the Edmonton Oilers. It wasn't the most entertaining hockey game to watch, but it wasn't heavily one-sided for either team. And I know I said in a couple of videos ago I was expecting 4 points out of these next 2 games against the Edmonton Oilers, and I wasn't saying that because I wholeheartedly believed it. Sometimes you gotta try to speak things into existence. I know if you guys have been watching this channel recently, you might not have heard me talk about this, but I talked about it a lot when the Maple Leafs were playing the Columbus Blue Jackets. The energy that you have going into something vastly or greatly affects the outcome or the end result. So say it with me now as you're watching the video. The Toronto Maple Leafs will win tonight against the Edmonton Oilers. The Toronto Maple Leafs will win tonight against the Edmonton Oilers. The Toronto Maple Leafs will win tonight against the Edmonton Oilers. But make sure to leave a like on the video if you did like it, and subscribe for more, because more is always on the way. And guys, remember, I don't know. Let's just see how the game goes tonight.